Aotearoa, SOUNZ.
Engari o winga mana, raurangatirama, tēnā koutou katoa. Nau mai, tau mai, and welcome to Inspiring Journeys Through Music, presented by Aotearoa Sound Centre for New Zealand Music. Kua lāna Te Piki Broughton tēnei, and today I'm joined by Rei Whakarongo Maira. Kei te tangata pūkenga tini, pūkenga mano, ora kawa, nau mai, tau mai, tēnā koe e Rei.
Kia ora.
Can you share with us a little bit about yourself? Ko wai koe, although we already know ko wai Rei, but if we could hear it in your words.
Ai, he kai hipi hope aho, he kai waiata, he kai tito waiata, I tipu ake au ki konei, ki te whanganui ātara, engari I nāia nei ki te noho au ki Tāmaki Makaurau. Yeah, that's the little sprinkle, that's the little intro.
A little bit of sprinkle for us, a little bit of a teaser.
That's
a little
right.
bit of a teaser to find out a little bit more about yourself. So what was it like growing up here in Te Whanganui-a-Tara?
Yeah, I really enjoyed growing up here. I think it's a good city to grow up in, and it's a great city to live in. Obviously, it's a bit of the cultural heart of Aotearoa. Ooh, when I say that on camera, I'll get in trouble. But yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn, pretty like predominantly Pākehā type schools, but was pretty engaged with Te Ao Māori through my mum and going to her various reo classes and marae stuff. But yeah, that meant that through schooling I had to always seek out my kind of engagement with te reo and Te Ao Māori. But yeah, it also gave me a good grounding in the fact that I know how to operate in both worlds, and so which means that I'm the confident guy that I am today.
Kia ora rā. So where does music come in during this journey? Was that sort of earlier on in your childhood, or was that a little bit later on?
Yeah, I grew up in a pretty musical household. Both of my parents are pretty musical. I'm lucky to be able to say that. My mum is a good singer. She plays on the piano and plays guitar, so there'd be sing-alongs and waiatas on quite often. Also, my dad's a good guitar player, so if I was staying at his house, I'd always wake up on the weekends to the sounds of him plucking away on the guitar. And yeah, so they always had an emphasis on music for me growing up. So like I was lucky enough to be able to go to drum lessons and have some tuition with that kind of stuff. Like a lot of people can't do that. Like I remember having a drum teacher that would come to my house and give me a couple lessons once a week for a while. And yeah, I think learning drums as my first instrument when I was a kid was also a really good like foundation in rhythm and production. Probably like really helped lay the foundation for the producer that I am today. Like I really like just programming drums. Like that's the core for all my type of music, you know, like it's all about the beat and the rhythms and making people move. And learning drums kind of gave me that foundation. And yeah, which is why I can do that pretty well now, I think.
What kind of music were you sort of experimenting with during those earlier days?
Yeah. I've always been quite genre fluid, like even as a kid and growing up, like I started out as a bit of a rock kid, an emo boy, like I had like the emo fringe at one stage when I was a teenager. Nice. So I listened to a bunch of rock stuff like System of a Down and Sum 41 and all of that. And then my sister gave me a Lupe Fiasco CD. And that was kind of a turning point for me. I discovered hip-hop and discovered the kaupapa behind hip-hop. Like Lupe Fiasco is an artist that is very kaupapa driven and it's all about content and messages and that kind of thing. Whereas the hip-hop before then that I'd been exposed to was more just like the superficial type party rap kind of stuff, which is only, you know, the tip of the iceberg of the hip-hop world. So yeah, that kind of inspired me quite a lot. And then I started listening to a lot more hip-hop and rap through that album. And Lupe Fiasco, Food and Liquor, I think it was. And yeah, since then I started making beats. I started writing some tunes. I actually started writing songs just on guitar when I was like 13. I just started plucking away and writing tunes, but it was like within a year I started making beats on the computer as well, just because I was drawn to that. Drawn to the production side of things, drawn to just the fun of making music on the computer and sampling and using whole kinds of different sounds. Like I could when you're on the computer, you can take any sound in the world and sample it and make it a musical sound and use it musically. Whereas if you're just doing singer-songwriter stuff, you've just got, what's around you, like a guitar and a voice. Like that's always been kind of limiting for me. So I've always, thought that the electronic stuff is more, excited me more.
Awesome. Tell us more about experimenting with other types of technology, other instruments, and maybe even the magic that comes from that journey, that process of your music development.
So there was a lot of other things that influenced my music, I guess, in those kind of formative years. I did quite a lot of choir singing as well at high school, so that was quite instrumental in my journey as a vocalist. So I learned about good breath support and where to place my vocal, and just also you just learn good like vocal stamina from choir singing and good just good technique. I did quite a bit of kapahaka as well at college, but my time was more taken up by like choir and stage challenge and stuff like that. And I got my reo Māori fix from my reo classes.
Looking at your connection with te reo, your involvement with kapahaka, you've mentioned going around with your mum to different marae, and it's just been a very normal part of your life. It's very much who you are. And we look at it, we hear it, and we know you're seamlessly proud tāne Māori. But of course, you've grown up in Brooklyn, and you've been very aware of this non-Māori way of living, of people as well. So how has that sort of influenced the type of music you've created, even thinking about introducing or injecting a lot of reo Māori into your waiata to the extent of waiata reo rua, waiata fully in te reo, particularly for a mainstream audience? Can you tell us a little bit more about that and your experience, sort of the thinking behind that?
Yeah, for my reo Māori music, I've always kind of embraced the fact that there's no rules for me. Like, I think that's a part of a product of me growing up and the situations that I did. Like, if I was a full, like, kura kaupapa kid and everything, like, I might feel like I have to be a bit more traditional or something. I might, like, feel like there's certain boxes that I have to tick, but I've never felt like that. I've always just felt like if I was going to do reo Māori music, then I could do it my way, and I could break as many rules as I wanted, and I might get in trouble with some people sometimes, but that's fine. Like, I think that's my purpose here on this earth, is to sometimes push people's buttons, and that's all good. Like, I don't want to be a safe artist. I don't want to just make music that's always easy listening to. I want to make stuff that invigorates and that can be provocative and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll write a sexy bilingual song called Holy Hika, and I'll make dance tracks and reo about tiki things, and it's just what I like to do, and it's like, it's just me as a person too. Like, I'm not like always, I can be deep, we can go deep, but I'm not like, I like to just have a bit of a joke around as well sometimes, so that comes across in my music. Yeah, I guess I used to see my background as a bit of a crutch, like the fact that I've had to really fight for my te reo reclamation, but I think it has turned into my strength, because the fact that I have had to fight for my te reo learning, and like I've had to put a lot of my own time and effort into learning te reo, has meant that it's like just extra special for me to be able to sing in te reo. And whenever I sing in te reo, it always feels like me, and it sounds like me, and it's pretty inspiring seeing the new generation of Aotearoa Māori artists also using their reo, and also them just expressing themselves in their reo and their music, and I think that's really beautiful. And if I've been like any part of that canon of artists, like, I'm pretty stoked with that, to be honest.
That's quite beautiful. I sit here recognising and appreciating the barriers that perhaps aren't in place for you and therefore can be sort of overcome by others who might have some of these boxes they feel they need to tick.
Yeah.
And so when we sort of think about that and the audience of your music, those who've gone to kura kaupapa, who are sort of analysing the reo and sometimes judging, let's be honest, have there been any buttons that you've pushed? Has there ever been any controversy?
I mean, people are always going to judge whatever you do in life. Like, people are always quietly judging, even if they're like smiling and being friendly with you. Like, there's always that little voice in the back that's judging. And we do it too. Like, we all judge. Like, it's just human nature. So once you like accept that and get past that fact, you can just feel freer to just do whatever you want and like just release whatever you want and put whatever you want into the world. I always see it like creatives that write music or do whatever, do art or whatever, those kind of creatives that hold back and don't like release their art into the world, you're holding something back from the world. You could be adding to the world, you could be adding to our culture, you could be pushing things forward, but if you're too whakaman, you get too caught up with other people thinking about what other people might think or other people might be judging, then yeah, you're being a bit selfish. And we don't want to be selfish. We want to uplift each other and empower each other. And if you're adding to the world, you're creating and you're releasing and you're showing it to people, then you are contributing, and we all want to contribute and we all want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And yeah, when you're releasing music, that's what we're doing.
That's great.
Oh, we're getting some sound bites in here. Gee.
I think your approach to music is a statement on its own. Looking at your waiata, what kind of messages are you trying to get out there through the lyrics, through the compositions?
Yeah, I guess my kaupapa and my messages like are developing as I age. Like, I guess one of my kaupapa that I keep going back to is I do sing about rangatiratanga a lot and self-empowerment, self-rangatiratanga, about being a chief of yourself, not trying to be a chief of anyone else, just a chief of yourself, your own environment, your own tinana, your own hinengaro, your own future. And yeah, I always encourage people to do that as well. Like, I talk about that quite a lot in my live shows, and I give people huia feathers, because huia feathers, I use a huia feather as my logo, hero huia, because that's like a symbol of rangatiratanga for me. And also he urio no Ngāti huia, koira te take mo te tāmoko nei. Close up. There you go. But yeah, I guess like just as I'm living, as I'm learning, like my content does change. Like, I sing about things that I've learned. I sing about, like, obviously I sing about love and aroha a lot, about relationships that I've been through and my learnings from that. From, you know, because each relationship you have, you learn something, even if it's not a successful relationship, it doesn't last forever. You'll still come away like with growth and with learning things about yourself and learning things about the other person and learning areas to improve. So yeah, like that kind of stuff, the more deeper stuff has been coming out more in my music lately. Like my song Eyes Closed was quite a personal song about my own growth and my own desire and readiness to be ready for full intimacy, which is something that a lot of people in their early to mid 20s are a bit avoidant of. Now we're going to start talking relationship therapy, attachment therapy. No, we're not.
Well, maybe we are.
Maybe we are. Let's go deep. And yeah, so maybe I'm singing a bit less about partying and stuff now, as I don't like partying as much as I used to. I like salads and saunas and going for swims in the morning now. So yeah, we're gonna have some sauna bars in my music now. Who knows? It's exciting. I just got back from a 3-day bush meditation as well a couple weeks ago. So that's like one of the things that I do as well, Vipassana meditation. That also changed my whakaaro on a lot of things. I first did my first one of that when I was 25. So yeah, that all of these things in my life have all kind of influenced my music and all. Just, you know, we're just growing and trying to be better people, and our music grows and we try to make better music as well.
So hearing you talk about composing your waiata and sort of after learning life lessons, if you like,
Yeah.
or after experiencing a bit of life, where are you sort of physically and maybe mentally when you're coming up with these waiata? Does it have to be a certain setting? For instance, you've gone out to the ngaere. Is this sort of the environment you like to be in when coming up with these waiata, or sort of processing some of these thoughts and emotions?
Yeah, my process to writing is, I guess, different from some people. I do just I like to try and constantly stay in a kind of creative space. So like I'll always be writing down lyric ideas in my phone, or like recording little voice memos in my phone. And then as soon as I like finish doing my admin for the day or finish coming back from a trip or whatever, and I actually get some time to write music, then I'll just pull up these ideas and actually start working on them. So yeah, these song ideas come to me at the randomest times, at the gym, if I'm driving, just random things like that. I'll come up with cool song ideas. Yeah, I do find taking a break before songwriting can be good, because if you're just like working really hard on another kaupapa and then you try and just straight flick over to the creative side of things, it can be a bit hard. So like a lot of the time, like my only time for creating is like late at night when I've finished all my other mihi for the day. Even though I'm a full-time musician, like this is just how it happens. Like I spend my day organizing tours and organizing music releases and everything, that actually finding the time to write music can get difficult. But I find it's easier if I like set a day aside for just creating, and then I can just wake up, chill, and then just get into the creative flow rather than get too distracted with other things.
So I'm hearing a very organised calendar here, organised wātaka, maybe.
I try.
You try?
Yeah.
Well, if your waiata is a good indication of what that trying looks like, must be a very good try.
Thank you.
You said a kupu that I don't really enjoy myself, which is administration. So how do you, well, what's everything that's involved in actually getting the waiata to our ears? We know that we get to see the final product and it's amazing, but there's a whole heap of work that goes on in the background, and you're involved in, dare I say, absolutely every inch of it. Can you share a little bit more about the whole process, everything it takes, and
Yeah.
everything you're involved in?
Yeah, like, because I guess I'm a lot more hands-on with all the aspects of a music release than a lot of artists, because I'm self-produced and I'm independent. I work with an independent label, Cog Chief, which is, Chief is me, Cog is Cog Studio. But yeah, it just means I have to oversee everything. But even artists that are with labels, I always encourage them to like do their best to oversee everything, because you want to have that artistic integrity and want to, be in control of everything. Always look at the spreadsheets. This is some good information for you back home. If you are with labels and stuff, always look at the spreadsheets, look at the deals, look at the fine print, because that stuff can be important. But yeah, when I'm writing a song, it starts out by like, I'll have a song idea, and then I'll record a demo of the song idea at home, my home studio, and I'll make a beat and everything. And then if I really like that demo, I'll play it to a few friends. If my friends really like it, then I'll decide to release it if I like it and everyone else likes it. And then from there, I'll re-record the song at a studio, at Cog Studio, on their flash microphone. And since I produce myself, I can self-produce my own vocalist. But if you're a bit more inexperienced, then that's the time where you can bring in like a vocal producer or a producer who can help you take your song up a level. But yeah, like I say, since I'm self-produced, I don't always need that. So then I re-record the vocals, I take them home, and then I edit the shit out of them. Do all my vocal comping, choose the best takes, do all of that myself. It takes a few hours, and then do melodyning, do all the pitching, the tuning, and then I take it back to the studio and I mix it with Chris at Cog Studio, and it takes like 2.5 days per song mix. And then after that, once we've done the master, you do the artwork, you do all the release material, write up the spread, the press release. Shout out to Barnaby Ware, taught me how to do my first press release. It's also an important skill as an artist. And So you get the press release done, get all the promo material ready, and then send that off to your distributor. I use DRM, who are a local distribution company, and they send out to Spotify and everything for me. And then once that's sent out, then I get started on doing my own radio send outs and organizing who who might want to play the song, who might like the song, send it to any influencers or whatever that might like it. And any blogs, like it's 2011, send it to blogs, who knows. We use a thing called Submit Hub also, which is like, it's a online tool where you can pay like $1 or $2 to send music to playlists and to blogs and to influencers and TikTokers and stuff like that. So we use that as well. And then the song gets released, and then I have to just keep promoting it and keep making posts and keep talking about it. It's funny, but in this day and age, like musicians can't just be musicians, artists can't just be artists. We got to be content creators as well. So even if you're like me, I'm not like, I can do the funny content stuff. It's not like my go-to, but like I can do it. So I just got to force myself to make some material around every release and just pump it out and not be too precious about it. That's, like I was saying before about artists, sometimes we can just be too precious and want everything to be perfect all the time. But at the end of the day, it's better to just add to the world, not to take away.
Such a massive process, a massive amount of mihi.
That's right.
I'm sitting here wondering if ever you sleep.
Yeah.
Or rest. I suppose that's the saunas, right?
That's right. The saunas and the meditation, we get it.
What progress have you made if you look back to some of the earlier waiata you made and then you think about some of the more recent waiata you made in the process of creating those waiata and producing them, releasing them? What were some of the things you learnt over that time between some of the earlier songs and the more recent songs?
One thing we've been trying this year is releasing a single every 6 weeks, which sounds like a lot, but it has been a bit difficult work rate wise and just keeping up with the deadlines and everything, because you have to send off a single to the distributors like a month before release. So it basically means that as you release one song, you're trying to promote that song, but then you're also trying to finish off the next song at the same time. So it's releasing music like that as a lot of singles is a good idea for maximizing Spotify playlisting and everything like that, and to get the most legs out of every song. Because if you're just releasing an album, it's not really an album market at the moment, so people don't always listen through to the whole album, especially if you're an artist that's starting out or whatever. So it's good to just give every song its flowers really and its time in the spotlight. So we've been trying to do that more and trying to just release songs single by single, and then eventually it will turn into an album. But we're just kind of releasing songs and seeing what works, and then the album will come from that. So like, for example, if my more dancey songs work, then maybe my album will be more dancey, or maybe if my more reggae songs work more and get more popular, then I'll do my album more reggae. Or if it's my rap songs, then my album will be more rap. I think it's a fun way to do it, and it's quite a hip hop way to do it. Like, to just write the music, pump it out, give it to the people. Like, that's like, hip hop's always been a music for the people. It's been a music for the voiceless. It's been a music for minorities. So like, we keep that hip hop mentality when releasing music, and staying independent means I can just release music when I want. I don't have to wait for some other artist and be like, down the pecking order for the label's releases. Like, I can just release what I want when I want. And it's the fun way to do it. It's how I like to do it. And maybe it's not always the most strategic, but I have the most fun doing it, so screw it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So hip hop for the people, hip hop for the voiceless. Who is there an audience that you're singing to who you give a voice to, and who might their audience be? Or whose voice you sort of give volume to?
I'm singing for a lot of people, really. It's funny I say hip hop, but like, my music, I think even though my music can be quite poppy or quite dancey or quite like melodic, it's still like rooted in hip hop, like, because that's where I started, I guess. But man, I'm singing for anyone that needs a bit of a boost, needs a bit of extra mana in their life. Like, I want to be mana enhancing. I don't want to be mana munching. So I want my music to make people feel good and feel more chiefly. Yeah, I guess I'm also, a lot of the time, for my reo music, I've also had, other whea Māori who have talked to me and told me how much they appreciate it to hear my music being how it is, and they can relate to my music as well, because, like, I still surprise people a lot when I get on stage if they don't know me and they just see me starting to rap into reo. They're like, oh, didn't see that coming. So yeah, I guess I'm rapping for them as well. I'm rapping for anyone who's going through language reclamation, language trauma. I definitely started thinking a bit more internationally Indigenous as well over the last couple of years. After doing a bit of traveling and meeting with some First Nations artists around the world, especially in Turtle Island, America and Canada, like, just learning about our shared cultural traumas from land loss, language loss, culture loss, and yeah, just seeing how we're all singing about the same stuff and we're all like trying to do similar things for our people. And so yeah, like this kind of like pan-Indigenous whakaaro is kind of starting to creep into my music a bit more, so I'm hopefully going to do some more collaborations with artists like that in the years to come. I did a cool Te Reo Tokelauan song last year called Kokomia, which was with a Tokelauan Kiwi artist called Olivia Fuai. And so yeah, I think I'd like to do some more music like that as well. Just like whakawhanaungatanga, and also it's just quite a beautiful thing, sharing culture and sharing language. Like, doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it does get much better than that. I'm also pleasantly, not surprised, but I'm very pleased to hear about those connections with other Indigenous peoples across the globe. And what kind of inspiration, I mean, we have similar struggles that we've dealt with, but what kind of inspiration do you also draw from them?
Staunchness. I get inspired by staunchness of the First Nations people in Canada, I think. I see it quite a lot in our younger Māori coming up. Like, I just see their like unashamed like mana, and they're not ashamed to be who they are. They're not ashamed to be Māori, takatapui, or anything like that. They're just who they are, and they're just loud about it. I love that. Like, I feel like a lot of us, maybe the older generations, felt like we needed to hide certain parts of ourselves and be whakama and be humble about certain things. But we don't always have to be humble all the time. Sometimes we just sometimes a kumara does need to smell its own sweetness, taste its own sweetness, because sometimes a kumara is just yum.
You kind of need to check yourself too.
Yeah.
Am I sweet?
Yeah. Yes, I am sweet. Like, and you don't have to do that in a way that puts other people down. You can just like be confident in yourself. And yeah, I always think that's an interesting part of Māori culture, Aotearoa culture, and polyculture, is that idea that we've always got to be humble. I don't think we always have to be humble. Sometimes we just need to smell our own flowers and celebrate it. And especially if we're like starting to go overseas and trying to like push ourselves overseas, like if you look like you're not confident with yourself and what you're doing, then people will just get a bit confused. Like, if you're talking to Americans and you're a bit like, I kind of do this, I can do that, like, they'll just be confused and they won't really get it. Because like Americans especially, they're just always so like overconfident and know what they're doing, and they're happy to talk about it. They're very happy to talk about it. So yeah, maybe we can take a bit of that confidence and use it.
Awesome. And I'm seeing a lot of confidence and a lot of personality, a lot of style. Is this part of your self-expression, and doing so confidently sort of challenging that status quo within our country of having to be humble or expected to be humble all the time?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it like that, my fashion, but yes, I guess my dress sense and my style is another extension of that. It's an extension of me just wanting to express myself however I want to express myself without any shyness, without holding back. Yeah, sometimes I do like walk into a room and I'm like, wow, I'm completely overdressed, but screw it, I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Like I feel good, like I feel good wearing what I'm wearing. So, and it's not affecting anyone, so it's fine. And most of the time, people are like real positive. Like I was talking to my friend about this, like the fluffy hat syndrome, like the funny hat syndrome. Like if you start wearing a funny bucket hat to a party, like not a funny bucket hat, but a cool bucket hat, something that no one else has got. Like you just start getting like heaps of compliments, and everyone's just like wants to come up and talk to you and wants to touch your cool hat. And it's like, it's not even like a thing that you're doing to be like whakahihi or whatever. You just think it's a cool hat. But you also at the same time encourage other people to be like, oh yeah, maybe I can wear a cool hat sometimes, or maybe I can do this. And I've had this conversation like a lot of times at like parties around the world where I've just been wearing cool shit, and it's just inspired, it's just started relationships, and it started people wanting to talk to you and engage with you. So yeah, it's also got me into some good parties in LA, just wearing some crazy shit. It all helps.
Cool. So you're sort of creating that space, whether conscious or not, for others. Let's have a little dive into identity and image. We've got this really strong, confident image of Rei. Does it pair up with your connection with your own identity? Is it one and the same thing?
Yeah, like I guess there is a bit of a difference between the Rei that I put to the world and then the Rei that is lying on the couch at 10:23 watching Netflix. You know, there's always like, you're always like putting your best foot forward and like exposing the good parts of yourself. I guess for the most part, I leave like the vulnerability to my music. Like there's a lot of lyrics where I say some pretty vulnerable and intimate things and share a lot of deep thoughts about myself. But yeah, it's just a lot easier to talk about that in my lyrics than it is kanohi ki te kanohi. I think, you know, as artists, that's one of the reasons why we do write, because it is like our diary, and it does just help us express our emotions and express what we're feeling. So yeah, writing music is like free therapy. You know, it's like I don't have to pay $150 an hour. I can just write a song about whatever I'm going through and hopefully work through it a bit that way.
Cool. Bit of free therapy for yourself,
Yeah.
but also for listeners who
I know.
are able to engage and...
Yeah, so it's not just therapy for yourself. If other people can learn and grow from what you put out there, then that's just extra good.
What does it look like when you're coming up with your waiata? Is it thinking about your own emotions, or is it thinking about the emotions of listeners, or is it a little bit of both?
Yeah. Most of the time, my songs are just coming from myself and what I'm going through. But sometimes I will like think about friends and what other people are going through and like incorporate that into my songs, and can become a little bit more, like I'll speak on behalf of people sometimes, but it's got to always be like an idea that resonates with me. Like it's got to be like an emotion that I can feel or I can tap into, because if it's not something I'm feeling, then it's not going to translate onto the music. It's not going to feel authentic. So yeah, finding that place of authenticity and finding where it sits right within you is always super important whenever creating, because if it's fake, people are going to feel that it's fake and it's just not going to land. So yeah, you just always got to be you in your craft.
I love that. Got to be authentic, got to be yourself.
That's right.
It's probably the only thing you can really communicate to the world.
Yeah, like a lot of people will ask you to write this type of song or this type of song, but you can take elements of those things. Like I like making music that's like has mainstream appeal. I like music that has a good hook and has a good rhythm and good is digestible in a certain way. But that being said, like I can use those formulas and I can still talk about what I want to talk about and sing about what I want to sing about and craft it in a way that stays true to who I am. And once you like figure out how to do that, that's when you're really winning, and that's when you really like start to pop off. Like, yeah, if you're just trying to write for other people or just trying to write to a brief or anything like that, it can be a bit creatively stifling. So my way of fighting that is always just to write heaps of music, write as much as I can, and then some of them are gonna be like poppy, and some of them are gonna work, and then some of them are just gonna sit in my demo bin, and I'm gonna love them, but no one else is gonna love them, and that's fine. They're just songs for me. Those are just for the archives. But the ones, like a lot of the time, the ones that I release are just the ones that I think other people are gonna like a bit more.
So you've got all these waiata, every single one of them in absolute taonga, some for the world to see and appreciate, some to be not necessarily held away, but, you know, treasured.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess I'm being a little bit hypocritical because I'm saying to not hold on to stuff too much. But there's literally only so much music you can release in one lifetime. And if you're writing more than you're releasing, like, it's just good to have a lot of content backed up and you can use whatever. But there's like some songs where I like written about like exes and stuff that I just had to say some shit to get it off my chest. But like I'd never want the other person to hear that. And that's fine. Like I didn't write those songs for them to hear that or for other people. I just wrote those songs to get stuff off my chest. Even if she aired it out on the podcast, I'm not going to get into that.
All right, we won't go there then. So having a look at the many waiata you've composed, or even more broadly, just the art you've created, what has been perhaps the most fulfilling project that you've worked on, or most fulfilling waiata art taonga that you've created?
There's been a few songs over my career that have been particularly fulfilling. And these songs can be fulfilling in different ways. My first breakthrough song was Good Mood. That was the first song that really got on the radio and that really kind of meant that I could go full time on my music. So that was fulfilling for my pockets. and like it was fulfilling in the fact that it got my name out there a bit, and it was a song that heaps of people got behind. But other music, like my full Te Reo album Ariki that I released last year, that was a super fulfilling project. That was a 20-track album, all in Te Reo, and it was just like a mammoth undertaking. It was the most complex album and project I've ever done. From writing the songs, producing them, getting the features, getting the collaborations going, getting the reo checked off, working with our advisor, mixing and everything. I did a bunch of interludes for that album on like how to be a rangatira and like voicing all of those with Turia who voiced them. Like it was just a huge project. And at the end of it, it hasn't been my most successful album like streams wise or anything like that, but like in terms of a body of work that just like made me feel full. And it was like ngākau fulfilling, like ngākau, like mihi aroha. So yeah, that's been another one for me.
I do want to come back to something you touched on, which was the pockets, right? Because it is quite a competitive industry, and what I want to ask is, what do you think it takes to really not just make a name for yourself, but be able to make a living off of your music? What kind of commitment or discipline, or even just being absolutely clever and opportunistic?
Firstly, you got to learn to live cheaply. If you can't live cheaply, then it's going to be hard for you to be a musician, especially when you're starting out. Like you got to like be smart with your finances. You got to like budget. You got to make sure you're not spending too much when you go out and stuff like that. So yeah, when I left uni, like I started just working part-time jobs, just like pretty much the bare minimum amount of part-time mihi to like cover my rent and my basic expenses. So
what kind of jobs?
I was doing like hospitality, bar work, bartending. I was working for Greenpeace at one stage. I was actually a nanny, doing like nannying for some kids in the Remuera when I first moved to Tamaki. And then, I was just putting all the rest of my time into my music and trying to pump out as much of that as possible and get myself established. And then, it just got to the point where I was like earning enough money from gigs. I started doing DJing as well, just to, do something music related that could also pay well. And that helped. Yeah, you kind of like, I guess in a small industry like Aotearoa, you gotta be able to do a few different things. You gotta wear a few different pūtea. So like for me, being able to produce for other artists was also a good thing in my toolkit. So I could work with other artists and make income from that. But yeah, as I just release more and more music, I start getting more money from streaming and more money from radio, and then more and more money from gigs. Like as you start getting bigger, you start getting more successful songs, then your fees start going up, which helps. And if you're like me and you put a lot of effort into your live performance and always over deliver with your gigs, then people are gonna want to get you back for more gigs and want to pay you more. So that's always been an important part for me. For me, I have like backup dancers and stuff in my live routines, and I put a lot of effort into the live visuals. And I like have a kani with my dancers. We make our routines together, and we do like some kabaka stuff as well. So yeah, everyone's live show is different, but yeah, making a good live show is definitely an important step. Other than that, like yeah, just you get like random jobs here and there from in the TV industry or the radio industry just when you're like doing music. So that all helps. Being a personable person, knowing how to talk to people, knowing how to communicate really goes a long way as well in this industry.
Yeah, so what other areas within media have you gone into?
I do a bit of radio voicing, so I do the main voicing for my FM. So I do the hottest hip hop and R&B. I do that. I'm that guy.
I was like listening to the radio right
yeah,
here, right now.
I know. I can say whatever you want. I should start what do you call it? A Fiverr, when they like people pay you to do random things. I should start one of those, and people can just send me things that they want me to say, and then I'll say it to them in that voice. That could be another income.
There we go.
Yeah, we're thinking.
Now we're getting even more ideas.
That's right. More money, more good things. We like it. Yeah, I do a bit of voiceover work as well. It's all like broadly under the music industry kind of like umbrella. But yeah, it definitely helps you survive because you don't always have a song on radio. You're not always getting gigs. So like having these different income streams is super useful.
What are some of the kaupapa? What are some of the projects you've got in the works, or what's coming up next? What are you looking forward to next?
Good question. Yeah, I've got a lot of gigs this summer that I've been preparing for and that I've been having fun doing. We've been leveling up the set and making new routines and using new technology in our routines. Like we've just got these light staffs which we're using in our rātou sets. So we're like future Māori lightsaber warriors now,
Right,
which is pretty sick.
Explain it a little bit.
You just have to come to my live show.
All right, done.
So there's that. There's building up the live show. There's pumping out more music. I'm gonna release a new album this year. The album's called Moisturize and Decolonize, and it's gonna be full of bangers. And you should definitely look out for it.
Moisturize and decolonize.
That's right.
Moisturize and decolonize. I'm trying to process that.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
Can I ask for some unpacking? Just a little bit of unpacking? Moisturize and decolonize.
Yeah, I haven't been asked about it properly yet. I guess we're all trying to. I've been talking a little bit today about my language reclamation and me becoming solid in my identity, and part of that journey of rangatira taonga is learning to decolonize, and that's not even like it's not even decolonizing in like the sense of like being ashamed of my Pākehā side or anything. It's not like that. Like I love all my whakapapa. It's just the fact that I am free to be who I am, and I am a rangatira in my own shoes in my own way that I want to be. And yeah, the moisturize is just, you got to look after yourself. You got to meditate. You got to sauna. You got to eat your salads. You got to moisturize. You got to, that's a thing. It's all part of it. And you know me, I just like to be a bit funny and cheeky.
I think you made a good point there with the decolonization, that it's not necessarily a belittlement of our tauiwi or wakapapa.
Yeah.
But what is it though? What is it then?
She's gotta ask me to go deeper. I guess it's forging a path forward for the betterment of our people and the strengthening of our culture, the strengthening of our identities, and yeah, just creating a better Aotearoa and a better world for our future generations. That's what I'm trying to do when I'm decolonizing, and I'm always trying to decolonize in my music and in my life and with everything that I do. So, koe te whainga, I guess.
Tēnā koe te o onu o te ruku. You've got new waiata coming out. You've got you're sort of kei te wakatauira koe i tēnei tua uatanga. You're bringing it to life, or sort of setting the example by introducing more and more reo Māori. I'm thinking of your new waiata tioi.
Tioi, that's right.
Which means...
Yeah, that's the other funny thing about like being like a language learner, like not a native speaker, like as someone that's had to like learn the language. Secondly, like sometimes it means I'll use some fresh words that I've like just found in the dictionary or found from talking to someone. Like tioi is like quite a niche phrase, but it just means to sway and to move back and forth. And I thought that just had a little bit of a nice, sexy connotation to it, so I wanted to sing about it and put it in my song. Yeah, so this is a tune. It's a bit of a upbeat reggae kind of vibe, reggaeton, Afro beat kind of thing. All music that I just listen to at the moment. I'll just chuck it in the boil up, cook up a song, see what happens. Tioi happened, and yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I hope you guys like it too.
I think we will.
Yeah.
Would you like to sing it for us?
I would love to. Can I sing it
You
right
can
here?
sing it for us.
I
Right,
would love to.
well, not right here, but
Okay, will you give me some hangi if I sing it?
sure.
Sweet.
I know you want someone that you could ride or die with. That's why you had to tell that man that I'm the one you riding. You chose wisely, cause when our eyes link, we're hypnotized. Your mind might slip, your hips don't lie. They've been telling me things all night long, and now we're kissing passionately, dripping passion on me. Let's get closer, come and crash into me, the one you've been waiting for. Rest your weary head on mine, away there. Set the fight, don't check the time, away there. Hold me close and hold me tight, put our hearts right on the line. Come sway with me, set the pain away with me. I need a lot of you in my universe. I need a lot of truth even when it hurts. Anything you do, just don't do me dirt, cause you know I'm good for you, I'm what you deserve. We'll be fine, just relax and take our time, don't relapse. Taking deep breaths and deep shots, and deep love comes next. Kissing passionately, using black magic on me. Let's get closer, come and crash into me, one you've been waiting for. Rest your weary head on mine, away there. Set the vibe, don't check the time, away there. Hold me close and hold me tight, put our hearts right on the line. Come sway with me, take the pain away with me. I know I get that raw.
Alright, I want to try something out with you at home right now. I need you guys to sing this with me. It goes like this.
Do you feel like this feels right? Come, sway with me.
This feels like we might be all night, so come, sway with me.
Do you feel like this feels right? Come, sway with me. This feels like we might be all night, so come, sway with me. Press your weary head on mine, waiting. Said the vibe, don't check the time, waiting. Hold me close and hold me tight. Put our hearts straight on the line. Come sway with me, shake the pain away from me. Let's go. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. Tai no ki te pūo.
That was Rei with Tioi, accompanied by Te Kawahirangi. This series is produced by Aotearoa Pūoru, Sound Centre for New Zealand Music. All waiata have been provided courtesy of the artist. To find out more about today's episode, or more about the music of Aotearoa New Zealand, go to sounds.org.nz. That's sounz.org.nz. Kua lana Te Piki Broughton tēnei. Thanks for watching. Mā te wā.
Aotearoa Pūoru, Sounds.